Now, I'm a writer, right? And I still struggle with describing this space because it's so fantastic. There's color, there's form, there's modernity. The Ebony Test Kitchen is outrageously unique, but also played this critical role in Black history and Black culinary history. When I heard that Test Kitchen was in danger of being demolished, I knew that an important place would be lost.
Ebony Magazine and the Johnson Publishing Company writ large, I think, has been so influential in terms of thinking about the ways that Black culture informs American culture.
The Johnson Publishing Building is an incredibly significant building. You have a Black businessman building his building on Michigan Avenue, fronting Grant Park in the early 1970s. That is a heck of a statement. And then you open the door to go inside, and it is this wild mix of color and texture. You can only imagine the freedom that embodied for a group of people who, less than generations before were constrained and restricted in every way.
The first time I walked into the building, wow, certainly it looked like an exciting place to work. I was the first food editor to work in the test kitchen where I would test the recipes for the magazine.
Recipes that every Black mother tried, cut out, pasted in her own book, and it kind of became part of the Black culinary experience.
The test kitchen was a way that we could carry those food traditions on to the next generation. When I heard that the building was being sold, I was very disturbed about it. I mean, that's a significant part of the African American legacy.
When the building sold in 2017, Landmarks Illinois was working with the city of Chicago actually on a proposal for landmarking the building. In addition to that, we were called by Lee Bay about his concern of what would happen with the test kitchen, which was really what was left inside the building.
I was working for the DeSable Museum of African American History and just called the developer up and said, what can we as a museum do to get this space? But the museum didn't have the money. So trying to figure out who could demount this space, I was talking to my good friends at Landmarks Illinois.
So Landmarks Illinois stepped in, and with about 2 weeks before it was to be demolished, we negotiated with the developer to purchase the test kitchen for $1, to organize an incredible group of volunteers led by Chris Ank of our Skyline Council. And over a weekend, we carefully dismantled every piece, from the 900-pound range hood to the garbage disposal. And we put together an advisory committee to help us understand who best would be the next owner.
It was so exciting to imagine that there was this organization that was going to bring these people together to save this thing that meant so much to an entire generation, and that we actually had the power to do it.
With them, we put together a request for proposals, and the one that stood out to us was from the Museum of Food and Drink in New York City, who was going to use the test kitchen as the center of their new exhibit, African American Making the Nation's Table.
At the Smithsonian, we've long been aware of the test kitchen as an exciting object. When it was a MoFad, I had curators who called me up and showed me pictures of how great the kitchen looked. So we began conversations with Landmarks Illinois.
We were overjoyed to hear from the Smithsonian. They contacted us to begin the process of exploring if they could take ownership.
This is such an elegant, important, and historically significant object.
It belongs at the Smithsonian where everyone can enjoy it.
Now we're really excited about it being permanently here at the National Museum of African American History and Culture.
It's exciting that the Smithsonian is going to put this kitchen as part of their permanent collection. It gives it the prominence it deserves as an important place in America.
We can't understand American history without African American history, and that takes all of us to help preserve these sometimes untold stories. Landmarks Illinois and the Ebony Test Kitchen really help us realize that we have to go further in preservation.
It would be easy for a preservation organization to just sort of raise the alarm, but to get actively and say, listen, I think we're the solution to this. It's a heck of a move.
I'm forever indebted to Landmarks Illinois for not only springing into action in that way, but really offering permission for everybody to really understand the role they can play in saving things they think are important.